Bloemfontein. This morning, it's where we find senior reporter Slindelo Masikane out at the Magistrate's Court. Why? There's going to be a huge day in the Thabo Bester trial, but not just Thabo Bester appearing in court later this year, but more importantly, his girlfriend, Dr. Nandipha Magudumana, back in the Bloemfontein Magistrate's Court this morning. A number of charges. Slindelo Masikane, good morning to you. A cold Bloemfontein this morning, 9 o'clock start, you tell us. What are we expecting?
Good morning, Gareth. At 9 o'clock start, we are expecting that's the usual time for Magistrates Court to begin with court proceedings. That might be a little bit delayed in our case. We do know that Dr. Nandipha is being held in a prison in Kroonstad. That's about 200 kilometers away from Bloemfontein in particular. But I can tell you that already as of around 7 o'clock this morning, we are seeing a flurry of activity in terms of media starting to get ready. Not only that, but security officials inside the courtroom itself are also preparing. But not only that, we do know that we're going to expect a number of police officials to be making their way here to secure the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court precinct. Already I'm seeing more unmarked vehicles coming to the courthouse. Barricades are being set up by officials outside the courthouse, outside the court precinct, and you can imagine that there's going to be a heavy security and police presence inside and outside of the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court, given not only the number of suspects that we're expecting in this particular case, but because we do know that Dr. Nandipha is due to appear with her father, Zolile Sekeleni, as well as a former G4S employee and a CCTV technician from the Mangaung Correctional Center. And of course, they've all been implicated in the escape and how it transpired on the 3rd of May 2022. But to give us more analysis, I am joined by legal expert, Mr. Alton Hart from the UJ Law Clinic. Welcome, Mr. Hart, and thank you so much for your time this morning. Maybe then just give us a sense to our viewers of the court proceedings this morning. We are expecting a possible bail application, but of course, the likelihood being that the state would oppose it.
No, indeed, Sosli, if I was the state, I was going to oppose the bail application in any event of these people, because obviously, clearly they showed already that they've got means to actually skip the borders of South Africa. So if the state won't oppose it, then I would find it very strange. So I would want the state to oppose. And then obviously, last week, the matter was postponed in terms of Section 60, subsection 5 of the Criminal Procedure Act for them to obtain bail information. So I don't think even today we will proceed with any bail application. I just think that the state will tell, okay, we have obtained the bail information of the 4 accused persons, and now we can set a date for when we can actually have the bail application. But I know from what I look at, the state is actually going to oppose the bail application.
Mr. Hart, then maybe let's just talk about the possibility of 1 or 2 or even more of these those who have been accused turning state witness, and how it would perhaps aid them in their own case or absolve them of any of the charges they're accused of.
Obviously, if you want to turn state witness, that's in terms of Section 204 of the Criminal Procedure Act, that you can actually become a state witness. Then it's like sort of they indemnify you from prosecution. But in that case, you need to give open, frank answers, and your evidence should somehow lead to the actually conviction of the Thabo Besters, the Nandipha Magudumana, who is the masterminds of this escape and what has transpired after that. But obviously, the state will look at what is your evidentiary value that you can bring to the table for them to actually get the people that was involved, the people that actually helped with the escape from the prison, how the system was breached, all those types of things. So that you need to take into consideration when you are going to be offered a 204 deal by the state. So that would mean that the state will first look at, see if this witness that is coming to the table, will they be able to prove just a certain portion or maybe the majority parts of the charges that is put against the accused person. And then on that basis, they can then offer them an indemnity. And sometimes it can be written, or sometimes it can be like just an informal indemnity. They will first look at the evidence provided, and thereafter they will decide if you are going to be indemnified from being prosecuted or not.
I mean, we've seen some more information coming out this weekend about how it seems as though Bester and Dr. Nandipha were spending weekend aways while he was in incarceration. So he seemingly was able to check in and out of prison whenever he wanted to. What's the likelihood that we're going to see more arrests in this matter, but in particular of high-ranking officials who should have known or should have been aware about what was taking place at the Mangaung Correctional Facility?
No, definitely so. For me, if there is not high-ranking officials that was involved, you cannot check in and out of that. It's a maximum prison. So you need certain authorizations to go in and out, certain gates to be open. So for that alone to happen and for him to go in, out as he pleases, as if it's a hotel, that means that there was high-ranking officials involved. And if there is no further arrest, and specifically of high-ranking officials within the G4S ranks, as well as in the Department of Correctional Services, then I see it will be a travesty of justice, because then we will never know what really transpired. And then the only person or persons, two persons that can tell us what happened will be Thabo Bester and Nandipha. They can tell us who was involved. And I hope for their sake that they stay alive long enough so that they can tell the story, because if these officials, because we can see they are corrupt, if they are found wanting, they might just eliminate these two people.
Thank you so much for your time and your expertise, Mr. Hart. That is legal expert Elton Hart from the UJ Law Clinic. As I say goodbye to you, Gareth, I am going to ask Tebogo Masilo to just pan to my left, just to give you a picture as to what we're seeing developing outside the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court. The courthouse precinct is being secured ahead of the appearance of Dr. Nandipha, her father, and two officials from the Mangaung Correctional Facility. I am seeing more and more police vans, in fact, circulating around the precinct. And of course, it's going to be a flurry of activity in ensuring that those who are appearing are secured. But also, as eNCA, we will be trying to bringing you those visuals live as proceedings begin. And I know my colleague Moloto is monitoring the movement of Dr. Nandipha's convoy to the courthouse precinct from Kroonstad. So all those visuals, we will be bringing you them live as they develop here on eNCA.
Throughout the morning, Slindelo Masikane, thank you very much indeed. Worrying commentary from Elton Hart. He's not the only legal mind to suggest that all the security is needed, not just for Dr. Nandipha Magudumana, but also for Thabo Bester himself. There is great concern for the safety of both of them once they've now made their way back into the country and appearing in court on various days. Slee, we'll come back to you later. Quite right. Here's T now speaking to Moloko about what is happening with transport.
Indeed, let's cross over now to our colleague Moloto, who is indeed outside the Masikane Correctional Centre. That's where Nandipha Magudumana has been held. She will be escorted to the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court, where Slindelo Masikane is. But Moloko, good morning to you, colleague. I mean, what do you see from where you stand? Has Nandipha, being taken out already? Is the SAPS, vehicles and motorcade on standby? What do you see from where you stand, colleague?
Good morning, Tim. Well, we are in Kroonstad. This is a small town that's located about 200 kilometers outside Bloemfontein. Maybe let me step out of shot so that my colleague Pesi Sibia can show you what's happening. This, I'm counting about 7, if not 8, personnel from the Masikane Correctional Services in Kroonstad. This is where we understand Dr. Nandipha Magudumana is being held. Now, yesterday we were here, Tumelo, and the security was not as tight as it is right now. There were about just 2 people who were manning this particular entrance. And that also happened because they saw us as we arrived and we tried to go in. In fact, we drove in because it's a driveway going towards residences. I suppose this is where the prison officials stay. And there was so much curiosity. They really wanted to know why we were here, and we have had to drive out to come and park where we are now. Then those 2 stood outside. This morning they have increased their numbers and they are armed with rifles. Yesterday they were not even armed. So we are not sure yet as to whether Dr. Nandipha Magudumana is out already, whether she is on the way to Bloemfontein. But on our way here, really, we did not see much in terms of movement. And I suppose, obviously, the police would not want to leave anything to chance, considering the fact that this story really has attracted so much interest. And anytime, of course, we believe, since the magistrates' courts usually start their business at about 9 o'clock, but nothing stops them from starting this particular matter any time of the day. We saw the first appearance that she made happened, I think, just at about 2 o'clock. So it doesn't necessarily mean they will have to start at 9 o'clock exactly.
And look, I mean, let's just talk about the heavy police presence for just a moment. It seems that it will be normal procedure in as far as Dr. Nandipha Magudumana and Thabo Bester is concerned, from when they left Lanseria to when, of course, we saw that Nyala taking Thabo Bester to Khosima Mpuru, and we saw that heavy police presence as well, escorting Dr. Nandipha to her first court appearance. It seems that in as far as this case is concerned, even inside court, those should be normal visuals that our viewers can expect, that because it is a high-profile case, that they will be heavily protected. We just got word, even commentary from Slindelo Masikane's guest, a law expert, joining various voices saying it seems that there are so many figures here that may want to eliminate both Thabo Bester and Dr. Nandipha because, I mean, they are a key witness. They know exactly how that escape occurred.
Well, we have already heard from Thabo Bester himself when he made his first appearance in the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court, saying that he doesn't want to eat the prison food because he fears that he might be poisoned. Of course, we heard days later the Department of Correctional Services issuing out a statement, media statement, saying that no, it's not the case. The man is now eating his food. And of course, considering the fact that there are so many people who are implicated, operational personnel at the police, that particular correctional services in Mangaung, but also we heard from the head of the Judicial Inspectorate for Correctional Services, retired Judge Edwin Cameron, who appeared before Parliament. He penned a particular report that he also leaked to the news agency Grounds Up, the one that really got us here as South Africans. He said that he doesn't believe that it was only the operational personnel at that particular prison facility who were responsible for ensuring that this man, Thabo Bester, escapes or walks off or walks away from the prison facility, because one criminal expert, Professor Kolofelo Rakubu, said, look, stop saying this man escaped. He really did not escape. He walked away. He was assisted by the officials to walk away. Now, retired Judge Edwin Cameron says he doesn't believe, he actually believes that there were other people, both inside that prison facility and outside, who assisted. Another question would be, how did they leave the country? Obviously, they possibly drove or they flew, whatever method of leaving the country. The chances are somebody assisted, not unless if Tumelo, these two, crossed the Limpopo River, swam across with the crocodiles, and they found themselves on the other side. Now, we obviously understand the fact that the fact that he managed to escape the prison cell, that on its own is just exposing the loopholes that exist within that particular system. It took time for the police to arrest him. In fact, they did not even arrest him. He was arrested by the police in Tanzania. We hope, South Africans would hope, that the police have their investigations and they have a watertight case, particularly against Dr. Nandipha Magudumana, because Thabo Bester anyway is serving time. He is convicted.
Well, of course, we'll leave it there, colleague, but so many questions that need answers, and hopefully this court appearance today with Dr. Nandipha alongside 3 others will be the first step in terms of understanding, as you mentioned, iterating what other experts say, what exactly informed, not this prison break, this seems waltzing out of the Mangaung Correctional Centre, and who exactly is involved. We'll leave it there. We'll be coming back to you and catching up with you as soon as there are any other developments, Moloko. But in the meantime, we leave it there for now.